y'all? Welcome to the Texas Sports Unfiltered Postgame Show, brought to you by Covert Bee Cave and Audiovisual Consultations. I am Zay Collier, joined by the founder of Texas Sports Unfiltered, BK. The Longhorns go down in Gainesville to the Florida Gators, 29-21, and yeah, team that seemed like they quit on their coach. Their coach is about to get fired, it seems like. Their quarterback barely could freaking move. Somehow coming in 1-3, losing 3 straight. That team finds a way against the Texas team that came into the season as the number 1 ranked team in the nation. Obviously, that is not the case. This team might be a fraud. This offensive line is soft as Charmin, missing assignments, undisciplined. The list goes on. The defense didn't look good today. Y'all hit us up in the comments section. Go to text line 512-222-9328. And it seems like the Horns' chances of getting to a college football playoff, BK, I guess it's still there, but it seems like it's already slipping through their fingers. Your thoughts?
Well, shout out to Billy Napier first and foremost. I don't know if there's ever been a better coach in the history of college football who's better at getting close to fired but not actually getting fired, right? Like last year after Texas dog walked Florida here in Austin, everyone was calling for Billy Napier's head. It felt like his run was coming to an end, and he goes back home and beats LSU and Ole Miss in back-to-back weeks and saves his job. Same situation this year, right? Florida loses 3 straight games to South Florida, LSU, and Miami. Everyone is calling for Billy Napier's head. Felt like he was a dead coach walking at this point. He returns home and gets a win over a ranked Texas team. So tip of the cap to Billy Napier for that. But yeah, I think this game says more about Texas than it does about Florida. This obviously doesn't look like a preseason number 1 team. This doesn't look like a top 25 team right now, Zay. One of the worst defensive performances we've seen from a Pete Kwiatkowski coach defense since 2022. There were some bad ones in year 1, but since the start of the Texas turnaround, it's been a long time since they played defense as poorly as this one. And yeah, 10 more penalties, horrible offensive line play. The running game was non-existent. And then Arch Manning, a couple of costly turnovers and another few missed receivers. It was all bad. It's a minor miracle that Texas somehow had a shot in the final minute to tie this game with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. I think some of that, maybe more of that, was more of Florida's wrongdoing than Texas actually doing things right. But Florida was clearly the better team today from the opening kick. Texas got dog walked by one of the worst teams in the SEC. And if I had a brown paper bag within reach, Zay, I would put it on my head right now because I'm pretty embarrassed to be a Texas fan today. That was rough, my man.
Yeah, embarrassing times right now for a team that just had so much optimism coming into the season. I mean, look, when you're playing against a team that's had all the troubles that Florida's had, they're one of the worst teams in the nation at pressuring the quarterback coming into the games. They have the worst pressure rate when in Power 4 coming into this game. I probably shifted with the way that they were getting a hold of Arch Manning in this one. But coming into this game, BK, they're dead last in Power 4 when it comes to getting pressures on the quarterback, according to Pro Football Focus. Dead last. They were in the backfield every other play.
Yeah.
Every other play. Ron Roberts, oh, man, it was like playing puppets with Steve Sarkisian. The way that he called that game, I didn't see it coming with all the injuries that Florida's dealt with. I thought that Texas would be able to expose that. And, yeah, like – this offensive line, I think they're the biggest problem with this squad. I know Pete Kwiatkowski definitely had a rough day today, but you also forced 2 turnovers against Florida. So the defense, they had some promising moments. There was that stretch that Colin Simmons had where he had those 3 straight plays, but Kobe Black, he got absolutely torched today. Like missing Malik Muhammad, that was probably more costly than all of the players that Florida missed today. Like, I know Manny Muhammad has had his troubles at times, but he's been playing some really good football this season. So to have your number 1 corner go down and have Kobe Black get exposed the way that he did on 2 huge plays, 2 touchdowns that resulted in Florida taking the lead and keeping the lead. Like, you weren't able to get pressure on DJ Lagway, who can't move. He can't. The dude's like limping around out there. The dude can barely move. He can't run. He's not a run threat. Jaden Ball, doesn't matter if they're putting 8, 9 in the box. He was still just 5 yards, 6 yards, 12 yards. Like, Jaden Ball, 27 carries, 107. But it all just seemed timely. And just the offense for Florida, they've been mediocre up to this point. They rack up 457 yards. They've been horrible third downs. They go 50%, 7 for 14. Texas continues to stay horrible on third downs, going 3 for 11. And then this is the most undisciplined team in the conference. I mean, 10 penalties, that's just unacceptable on every standpoint. Steve Sarkisian, Kyle Flood, this offensive line, Connor Stroh, you can't play him no more. Like, Nick Brooks, bless his heart, but that's his first real action in the SEC. And clearly he's having struggles. You know what I'm saying? DJ Campbell, another penalty there. Brandon Baker struggling his ass off. There's just a lot of problems with this offensive line. 2 yards average trying to run the ball. It looked like Travian Wisner got hurt again after he scored that late touchdown. He was kind of, rubbing his hamstring and going toward the trainer. So who knows what's going to, come about that. But I do not feel good about this team headed to Dallas next weekend to face one of the best defenses in the nation in Oklahoma. That's better than this Florida team. This team has some serious problems. It's troublesome and it's concerning, and it's sad, man, because, again, there was just a lot of hype for this squad, and now it just seemed like that was all fraud.
Yeah, there are a lot of problems, but I think you hit the nail on the head. The biggest problem right now for Texas is this offensive line. And you talked about Florida's pass rush coming into today. Zay, Florida, through their first 4 games of the season, had 3 total sacks. They had 6 in this game alone. And you said Texas averaged 2 yards a carry on the ground. You're not wrong. But the Texas running backs, 11 carries for 15 yards. The only reason Texas got to 2 yards a carry was because of Arch Manning's legs. And he got sacked 6 times. So you've got sack yardage in there too. The Texas running backs gave the Longhorns absolutely nothing today. I don't know how much of it was their fault. I mean, the offensive line, I think you're being nice, Zay, by saying Florida had somebody in the backfield on every other play. I think it was every play that Florida had somebody in the backfield. And their best defensive lineman, Caleb Banks, did not play in this game. So that's a Florida defensive front that hasn't been great at getting pressure. Maybe their top guy was out, and they still were living in the Texas backfield. I mean, it's something that Bucky and I talked about. I know you and Chip talked about it too on your show. Like, Steve Sarkisian and Kyle Flood bet on themselves. Right? They knew that Texas lost 4 offensive linemen from last year's team. They knew they lost a top 10 pick in Kelvin Banks. They knew they lost a guy in Jake Majors who started more games than any offensive lineman in school history. Instead of going out and hitting the portal to try to bring in some sure thing replacements from other schools, like a bunch of other teams around the country did, they bet on themselves. They said, we trust our high school evaluations and we trust our development. And the guys that we have coming back are going to be good enough to where this offensive line is not going to be a problem. Zay, they were getting pushed around by San Jose State and UTEP. and they were kind of good against Ohio State. So it's like, maybe it's just a couple of bad games. No, it turns out this is the group that we've got. The group that got pushed around by San Jose State and UTEP at home is the offensive line that we're going to see for the rest of the season. So, look, there are other problems. We can get to all of those. We will get to all of those. But this, you cannot win in this conference if you can't win in the trenches. I thought the Texas D-line sucked ass today too, but the Texas offensive line did nothing today. Nothing today. An embarrassing performance. And yeah, Oklahoma, Georgia, still on the schedule. What are those groups going to do to you if Florida was able to do this today?
Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, again, you want to trust those guys that your development has been strong because it has.
Yeah.
Like, look at guys like Kelvin Banks, like Christian Jones, Kyle Flood moving him from the left side to the right side. That was money. Now that guy's playing on Sunday. So they've hit. Cam Williams, he was very up and down last year. Thought he should have came back for another year. But, man, this offensive line, they get no push on the run. And then you felt decent because the stats told you in the first 4 games, their pass protection is solid. Their pass protection can hold up. And Arch won't be running for his life, which a lot of y'all going to put this on Arch. I see a lot of people in the comments saying Arch is trash. 16 showed us some shit today. He threw some bad plays, but I think it was because he had no choice but to press it with everything that he had to deal with, from the pressures, getting hit. He took some shots. He got right back up, and he was able to move around the pocket as much as he could, and he made some throws, man. Some throws that, okay, there's that big-time, highly talented recruit, last-name guy that we thought was going to be here. Now, he has a lot to still work on, but he ain't the problem in this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's going to look at the interceptions and the bad plays, the bad throws. That's not it. With that offensive line, to do what he did, that was special. It was a special performance by 16 today. He played better than anyone on this squad, especially on the offensive side. So y'all blaming him and stuff, I think that's, y'all just hating. But
well, I thought he was the best player on the Texas offense, but I don't think he played very well. Like, that's just how bad the other 10 guys around him were. And you're right. I mean, he did make some big time throws, but I think every good thing Arch Manning did was all flushed down the toilet by that final drive. Like, how are you taking sacks in that spot, dude? If you're playing in your first career game in JV high school football, you should know that you can't take sacks. You have no timeouts. You cannot take sacks. Throw the ball away or shit. Just throw it deep down the field. Do something. You cannot take a sack there. He took multiple sacks on that final drive. So, yeah, he made some plays to get Texas back into the game, but still, I mean, it's way too hit and miss. It's way too inconsistent. So, is he the biggest reason the Longhorns lost today? No, but there were too many of those moments, and especially down the stretch where it's like, dude, what are you doing? You're a third-year player. I know it's your first year as a starter, but you've played in enough college football games to know that you can't do that in that spot. You got to be smarter. Give your guys a chance. You don't give anybody a chance when you're taking sacks there. And, Zay, that was the one drive the Texas offensive line actually blocked some people. And Arch Manning, they were coverage sacks. He was just holding on to the ball for too long. He wasn't throwing it down the field. They didn't show enough replays, but you had Louis Riddick on the telecast saying, Arch had Jordan Washington wide open on this play. Then he had DeAndre Moore wide open on this play. I haven't gone back and watched it yet. ESPN didn't show us anything, but I'm going to assume Louis Riddick is right because he's good at what he does, and he played football, and he covers the game at a high level. So, like, you've got to throw the ball in those spots. So, yes, some good from Arch. Again, I think he was the best offensive player today, but I don't think he was good enough either for Texas to win a game on the road in the SEC.
Yeah, you got to keep your helmet on, too. That's also just why the hell's your helmet on?
Shit, leave the helmet off. Caldwell came in and threw a dart over the middle.
Dart, man. I was like,
take that helmet away from Arch. Leave Caldwell out there until he screws up. Come on.
No, you're right. He held on to the ball way too long. But like I think he was in that mode of I have to make something happen and I have to wear the cape. And I think that got him into trouble, but that also got him out of a lot of plays. And at the end of the day, man, like just complimentary football on the offensive side, you just don't see it at all. They shoot themselves in the foot when they gain a little bit of momentum. Here comes the laundry. It's just like they can't help themselves. And, yeah, defensive line today, I was shocked. That first drive really set the tone for Florida. I mean, 13 plays, 84 yards, 7 minutes. Mookie Taft, tough drive for him because that ball's right there. Grayson Littleton, first play of the game, great hit, ball pops out. Texas has the ball in good field position. I don't know why Michael Taft didn't track that ball down. He went past it. It kept the drive alive, and Florida ended up taking advantage of that. And, yeah, those offensive linemen for Florida, they were pushing Texas around. And Billy Napier, I told Chip all week, it's weird that Billy Napier has thrown the ball so much with DJ Lagway, knowing that he might be injured a little bit when Jaden Ball coming into the game to do his average at 5.9 a carry. So he's their best offensive player. Well, it might be Wilson, the freshman, who freaking lit Texas up now. But coming into the game, their running back Ball's their best player. Give him the ball if you're Billy Napier. He wised up, got smart about it, did that, and they controlled the game that way. Like that first half, just the time of possessions, that's a big deal. And the fact that Texas, when you get beat 34 minutes to Texas 25, it's hard to win that way, especially you add the penalties, just 7 for 14, third downs for Florida, 3 of 11 for Texas. Like, this is just a very undisciplined, soft team that – I'm surprised. I did not think we would be here 3-2 headed in the Red River, but here we are. And BK, I don't know about you. I am not feeling confident going facing Brent Venables' squad next week at the Cotton Bowl.
No, we're going to beat OU.
I'm glad you feel good about it, damn it, because I don't. Shit. And were they looking ahead? You know what I'm saying? Because Chip was like, oh, they're not looking ahead. And I'm over here like, I heard Matt Brown saying recently on his show with Bob Ballou and VY, like, yo, that game before you play Oklahoma is hard as shit. And I ain't trying to get out the, little violin and, trying to pull the excuse book out, but also these guys are human. We know what that Red River shootout means.
Yeah.
So this is a trap game at the end of the day. It shouldn't be with how Florida is and how Texas should be, but you could say that. Sark ain't going to say it, but that Texas team, especially the defense, they just weren't locked in. Pete Kwiatkowski wasn't locked in. Florida was. And 29-21, Florida Gators.
I don't have a paper bag. I do have a plastic bag. I might put that over my head, although I feel like bad things can happen if I try that. So maybe we don't need an on-air suey going on here. That would be a disaster.
Yeah,
it's interesting, Zay, because I did hear. Look, I thought Texas was going to win this game easily. So obviously, I have a lot of egg on my face. Everybody who picked Texas does today. But I thought, I was never worried about this game in the offseason, even when Florida was a preseason top 15 team. I just thought Texas was going to take care of business in this game. It's interesting. I went back and looked because there was a lot of talk about trap games the week before Oklahoma. Steve Sarkisian was 4-0 in the game before OU in his first 4 years in Austin. Even the 5-7 season when nothing went right, Texas won the game before Oklahoma. So whatever it's been, this has not been a trap game for Steve Sarkisian. It's hard to argue. I don't know if it's a trap game. We just got our ass kicked. I don't know if we fell into any sort of trap. We had 2 weeks to prepare, Zay. Is that right? Texas didn't play a game last week. They had 2 weeks to come up with that. That was the defensive game plan. Florida had played 3 FBS teams before today, Zay. Averaged 11 points per game in those 3. They scored 29 in 3 quarters against Texas today. And obviously, whatever the Longhorn offensive game plan wasn't nearly good enough. So this coaching staff had 2 weeks to come up with that. That's a lot of reasons why I thought Texas was going to win. I had more faith in this roster, more faith in this coaching staff. And they all let all of us down today. I mean, nobody showed up. We're going to have to pick an offensive and defensive player of the game today. Who the hell deserves that honor? And what about coach of the game? Does anyone get coach of the game? I know we don't do that, but did any coach earn his paycheck today? Jeff Banks, what are you doing? The tight ends are ass. Your special teams are horrible. What's going on with you, dude?
Jack Injuries, who I think got hurt in the game off of that weird pass, 1-yard pass where he was sliding over and, he just stayed down. I think that's why Jordan Washington, you saw him in at the end. But, yeah, the tight ends don't look good. You get a punt blocked, which thank goodness it didn't result in a touchdown and only a safety. So you lose on all 3 phases of the game. That's just completely outcoached. And, again, Florida – you go back to LSU, DJ Lagway, he's turned the ball all over the place. Fast forward to Miami, only 61 yards through the air. He comes out in this game and lights you up like he's Tim Tebow. going 21 for 28, 298 yards, 2 touchdowns. And again, he couldn't freaking move, man. Like every time he fell, he grimaced. He go over to the sideline. He hobbling. That ain't no pimp walk either. He's just hurt as shit. And they couldn't get to him. He was never really on the ground. I don't think he got sacked. Did Texas have a sack in this game? Donut sacks.
That's your difference, right? Everyone will talk about the quarterbacks, the running backs, the receivers. These games are won and lost in the trenches. Florida had 6 sacks. Texas had 0. Florida entered today's game, once again, with 3 sacks as a team through 4 games. Florida's offense, Zay, tied for 100th in the country in sacks per game allowed. Texas had 0 sacks today. So one quarterback was able to stand tall in the pocket and pick you apart. One offense was able to run the ball with some running lanes. That was not Arch Manning. That was not Texas. They had nothing in the trenches. The offensive and defensive line today, they just did not show up. Amazing. And shout out to Joey, by the way. Good comment. Florida men have bigger dicks. That's why they won. Nice of Joey to go into the locker room and measure every dick of every Florida player. Someone, I guess, has to do that job. It appears that it was Joey. So appreciate your scouting, Joey, checking every Johnson size on the Florida side and the Texas side. Zay, we didn't think of that. Clearly, that was the difference in the game today.
Yeah, we didn't think whoever was the more hung team would go off and get the dub in this game. Sorry that didn't go into the great analysis that you could get here on Texas Sports Unfiltered, and nobody came up with that this week prepping up for this game. But yeah, now you look at the future, BK, because you go from a team that had national championship aspirations. Like we were all there. We all felt like this squad could do something special, especially before the season compared to other schedules in the SEC. It's a little light compared to other schedules. So you would think that this squad would be able to capitalize on that. And now you're 3-2. I'd say college football playoff hopes are completely out the window. Sorry, Texas fans. I ain't trying to be negative Nancy here, but yeah. Yeah, the square box thumbs down. Like, it deserves it there because I don't think this offensive line is going to get much better. I don't know about just the discipline part with the penalties. And now there's something with this defense that they're showing a little bit of, being a little vulnerable out here for my liking, and you're going to play way better offenses than Florida. And I got to give a shout out to probably best player on Florida today, Dallas Wilson. I mean, dude hasn't played all season, been hurt, came in, highly touted freshman, Tampa Bay, Florida. So he's always been a Florida Gator for life. So this meant a lot to him. And he lit up that secondary for some of the biggest plays of the game. I don't know how Kobe Black just fell on his face on that play. It was rough. He had a really rough game. And he was probable. Like, if you go back and look at the injury report, Kobe Black, don't play him. If you're hurt, don't play, bruh. Because you look hurt out there with how you were giving it up. You know what I'm saying? And Cade Phillips wasn't bad. Like, Cade Phillips had some moments where you're like, oh, okay, he's a freshman, but then he had some moments where you're like, okay, I see the hype. Kobe Black was just overall bad. So,
yeah, and the secondary was bad. And I didn't quite get PK's game plan today, Zay. And maybe I didn't see this clearly. I'm going to go back and rewatch it, as will you. But, like, I get the thought when you're a little shorthanded in your secondary, you want to drop extra guys in coverage to make sure your secondary isn't getting beat. But Texas, they kept trying to get pressure with 4 and they didn't. So it's like you're without your top corner, and Florida has great talent. Like, Florida right now is what Texas was last decade. They recruit incredibly well year in and year out. They just don't have a coach who's good enough to win games consistently. And it sucks because Florida's going to be asked this year, and Billy Napier's still getting fired. And now we're the embarrassment who lost to this Florida team this year. But I thought to give your secondary some help, maybe bring some more pressure so they don't have to cover as long, because every Texas pass rush got held up. And DJ Lagway, yeah, he's had a bad year, but he's still a 5-star former #1 quarterback in the country. And you give any quarterback at this level of football that much time to throw the ball down the field, they're going to make some things happen. And that's what happened with Florida today. So it felt Manny Diaz-like today, Zay. I mean, coverage breakdowns. How many missed tackles did Texas have? We haven't seen that from a Texas defense in years. This was one of the worst tackling performances we've seen from the Longhorns in a long time. It felt like Jaden Ball broke at least one tackle every single time, and he's very good. He's one of the best at that in the country. But I thought against this Longhorn defense, he wasn't going to be able to do that. He was easily. So many broken tackles. You talked about Dallas Wilson, his touchdown where Jelani McDonald stuck a quarter into some slot and rode that little horsey ride for 25 cents as he's riding Dallas Wilson into the end zone. That might sound gay. I don't want it to sound gay. I think y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, what the shit was that? And then Michael Taft at the end still couldn't tackle him. He's like holding on to his shoelaces for dear life. And it's like, what is this Texas defense? Like, we teleported back to Charlie Strong Texas defense or Manny Diaz Texas defense today. And I know I'm all over the place right now. I'm not really sure what I'm setting you up with here, so I'm sorry with that. It's just like, what did we – this was not the offense. Okay, we had seen some things from the offense in the first 4 games that made us think this was possible. But the defense, it's been a long time since we've seen the defense play as poorly as they did today. That's the most confusing part of what happened.
Yeah, you didn't hear Ant Hill's name very much, you know what I'm saying? Like, in that play that you talked about, like, all these guys are trying to punch the ball out. Just get them on the ground. Like, just get them on the ground. Dallas Wilson, that's a big physical specimen. That's a grown-ass man. Like, he's a freshman, but that's a grown-ass man that's going to make a lot of money someday. And, yeah, he gave just a huge lift and some serious juice to Florida's offense that they desperately needed, that they haven't had in the last 3 games. And it was at Texas' expense.
What's it like, Zay? Because Texas brought in 4, at least I was told, Texas brought in 4 really good wide receivers in this #1 recruiting class. Like, I saw some people on Twitter say, well, how did Sark miss on Dallas Wilson? Like, why didn't we get him instead of these other guys? If Dallas Wilson was a Texas Longhorn, his ass would be parked on the bench because Sark doesn't play freshman receivers for some reason. The only one he played was Xavier Worthy, and that's because, well, Texas had nobody in 2021. So I don't know. Maybe Khalil Lockett and Dalen McCutcheon and Jamie French and Michael Terry, maybe those guys are all bums and they're not ready. But I'm watching a Texas passing game continue to struggle a little bit. And I'm watching plenty of freshman wide receivers around the country, again, making things happen. And I'm just wondering, like, are our coaches not developing these guys? Are the recruiting services wrong on every wide receiver that Texas signs? Like, what? Ryan Wingo's still dropping passes. Were the recruiting services wrong on him? Like, it must be nice to have a true freshman wide receiver do something. I wouldn't know what that's like because I'm a Texas fan.
Yeah, it is interesting that, Decorian Moore at Oregon, who Texas lost out on, like, he was in Texas top 5 and he's from Dallas, ended up going to Oregon. He's thriving in Eugene. And as you just mentioned, Dallas Wilson, Varnell Brown, 5-star freshman of Florida. He made a couple of big plays today. So, yeah, I don't know why these wide receivers that are freshmen for the Horns aren't getting any tick or aren't ready. But, yeah, it's just this offense, man. They shoot themselves in the foot a lot. And you're right, even though Arch had some big moments today, like, he still showed us the problems that we've seen the first 4 weeks of the season, even though he took some big steps today. The running game, I did not think the running game would be this bad. First off, I don't think Contravian Wisner is 100%, like, coming off a hamstring injury. Again, I thought he tweaked it up after that touchdown late in the game, and he was kind of holding it a little bit. But, then you got, 3 other guys who just don't have the experience. Christian Clark, James Simon, Jared Gibson, along with an offensive line that's just soft as hell, that doesn't get any push on anybody. Like, 2 yards, man. And you said the stats, like, it would have been worse if Arch Manning didn't do his thing. Like, he got out for a couple of first downs. So you take that away, this running back room, it's basically irrelevant. This run game is basically irrelevant. And that makes you one-dimensional. That makes you easy to guard. And Ron Roberts, it was easy to get pressure on Arch when you know there's no threat to the run game.
Here's the thing, Zay. So you go back and look at Florida's losses to LSU and Miami and look at their quarterback stat lines. Arch Manning threw for you more yards and had more touchdowns than Garrett Nussmeier or Carson Beck. The reason LSU and Miami beat Florida in those games, their defense showed up and their run game showed up. I said all week on Bucky and BK, like, if Texas needs to rely on Arch Manning to do what he did against Sam Houston, they're not going to win this football game. Like, Florida's got a pretty good secondary. They're a little banged up, but like, that's been the strength of their team so far this year. How Florida has lost 3 games, it's not because other quarterbacks are going in there and lighting them up. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier and Carson Beck, like Arch Manning, they were also at the very top of the Heisman list going into the season. It's not like those guys had otherworldly days against Florida. They just did enough. And Miami and LSU were able to run the ball, and their defense gave up 10 points and 7 points in those football games. That, to me, was the recipe for Texas to win today. It was the defense shows up and the run game shows up. 0 for 2, big part of why Texas is 0-1 in SEC play.
Yep. Well said. Well said. This is the Texas Sports Unfiltered post-game show. The Horns go down to the Florida Gators 29-21. I am Zay Collier. He is BK. Let's get to some of our amazing sponsors here, like Gobundance. Gobundance scoreboard update. Gobundance, man. Texas football is built on legends. Daryl K. Royal setting the standard. Mac Brown bringing home a natty. Wish we could go back to those days, damn it. Vince Young, Colt McCoy leading the way. It's just, the Longhorn way is way more than talent. It's about discipline. It's about brotherhood and rising to the occasion. That's the same spirit behind Gobundance, a community of high-achieving men, business professionals, investors, and leaders who push each other to win, not only in business, but in life. So if you're ready to live like a champion, then Gobundance is your team. Join the tribe today at www.gobundance.com/TSU. That's spelled out GOBUNDANCE.com/TSU. Scoreboard update around college football brought to you by Gobundance. Penn State goes down in Los Angeles to UCLA 42-37. James Franklin, Lord have mercy. I know times are bad in Texas, but wow, BK, like James Franklin, Drew Aller, wow. They fired the coach earlier this year. Like, how?
In week 1, it was thank God Alabama exists, because while Texas was getting embarrassed at Ohio State, I know they only lost by 7, but that was a pretty embarrassing showing. You had Alabama getting boat raced by Florida State in a huge upset. And it's like, well, that's going to take some of the sting away, and that's going to take some of the attention away from Texas kind of crap in the bed. And today, look, our audience is not caring about what happens with Penn State, but that's the number one story in college football today.
Yeah.
Is Penn State losing as a 20. Texas was a 4.5-point favorite. Penn State was a 24-point favorite. They lost to an 0-4 team that, like you said, Zay, had already fired its coach this year. An embarrassing loss. There are a lot of people out there that had Texas and Penn State as their national championship game.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 1 and 2 in the country in the preseason poll.
Yeah.
And both teams have 2 losses right now. Both teams have more questions than answers. And both teams look like they're not going to make the playoff. Forget making a run to a title game. They both look like they're not even going to make the field of 12. So, Penn State. James Franklin went from like 1 win away from a national title game last year to all of a sudden his seat might be warming up a little bit in Happy Valley.
Let's see. You feeling it. You feeling it. Alabama takes care of Vanderbilt at home, 30-14. Big time.
That's some bullshit on that cover at the end, Zay.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
That's
God. That's a
Vegas
bad
always
beat.
knows, man. Vegas always knows. Georgia gets another SEC win under their belt, beating Kentucky 35-14. Another big upset in college football. Cincinnati, my Bearcats, since your boys in Cincinnati last week, got the dub over 14th ranked Iowa State, 38-30. Michigan beats Wisconsin 24-10. Notre Dame beats Boise State 28-7. Illinois beats Purdue 43-27. And Virginia, in an overtime victory, beats Louisville, coming off of their exciting dub against Florida State. That's the Gobundance scoreboard report. Anything else that stands out around college football, BK, besides the Horns, since we're here on that scoreboard update?
No, I mean, I think we hit all the big results. Not a huge slate of games in college football. I should say not a huge, sexy slate. Not a lot of ranked versus ranked matchups today. So as much as we want to avoid talking about Texas, I guess we got to get back into Texas.
Yeah. Oh, and I misspoke. Got one more that makes sense. 24-0, Oklahoma beat Kent State. Michael Hawkins Jr., 14 for 24, 162 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, 9 carries, 33 yards on the ground. So you expected them to beat the crap out of Kent State like they did. And Oklahoma is going to be coming into Red River with a lot of confidence. While Texas, you can't say that about the Longhorns. Let me ask you this, BK, because you're already feeling froggy about the Horns beating OU. What will it take for Texas to beat Oklahoma in the game where I don't think Texas is going to be the favorite?
John Mateer not playing would help.
Yeah.
That would definitely help. My pick is subject to change if that guy is able to make a miraculous recovery and he is able to play 7 days from now up at the Cotton Bowl. I mean, what's it going to take? It's going to take the opposite of what we saw today. The thing that gives me hope is that it's the Red River game. When I was a student at the University of Texas, Texas was horrible. It was the very end of the Mac Brown era, and it was the Charlie Strong era. And somehow, when I was in school, Texas went 2-2 against Oklahoma. They were double-digit dogs in all 4 of the games, and they got miraculous wins in 2013 and 2015. And it's one of those, you throw the records out, you throw the line out, you throw the stats out, you throw everything out, and nothing really makes sense in the Cotton Bowl. So a lot of people are probably scoffing at the notion of picking Texas to beat Oklahoma or picking Texas to beat anybody right now. But I don't know. It's going to be one of those days. One of those days where the ball bounces Texas's way and the Longhorns get some breaks and they end up winning and throwing this SEC season into more of a spiral than it already is.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I don't think I could make that pick. 10 penalties today. That's this offensive line, the penalties, just dumb shit.
Yeah.
Dumbass shit. Just the communication with this offensive line. They get duped all the time. They get Connor Stroh getting confused. Cole Hudson just getting completely bull rushed. Just completely used where it's like, damn, Jake Majors, I miss you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't miss you very often.
Where's Neto? Is that guy hurt? Did he get kicked off the team? Is he in the portal? That guy, I thought he was this team's left guard going into the year, and then it's Connor Stroh, and then when he gets benched, it's Nick Brooks, the true freshman, who's a tackle.
Yeah, it's not even his position or the position we thought he would come in playing.
No, I miss dudes too. You're right. I miss 4 dudes. I miss maybe more than 4 dudes. But the 4 guys on the offensive, the disappointing part. I mean, it's all disappointing. It's all disappointing. But Trevor Gooseby didn't have a good day today.
No.
DJ Campbell, does he ever had a good day?
He's been horrible this year.
Cole Hudson, those are your 3 guys that you're supposed to rely on. You should be better at left guard and right tackle than you are because you recruit better and you feel like your coaching is better than what you're getting out of Connor Stroh, Nick Brooks, and Brandon Baker at right tackle right now. But the 3 guys that you were supposed to be feeling good about coming into the year, they're also not good enough. Yeah. So you knew you had some questions up front, Zay, but you felt like, okay, there are a couple of spots on the O-line where we know we're going to be okay. We might not be as good as we were last year, but we're going to be okay there. We're 0 for 5 up front, are we not?
Yeah. No, it's not looking good. You don't have any confidence, or you shouldn't have any confidence in this offensive line, this running back room. It's just, sometimes arch-mannied at this point. Wide receivers, Parker Livingston, hope he's okay. He came back, but I didn't see him get much love. Some positives today. Emmett Mosley, the 5th, caught a few passes. He looked good when he was able to get the ball in his hands. So you want to be positive as much as you can, but hey, it's hard to when this was a must-win game for Texas, and they flopped.
Yeah.
You have these must-wins, you have the advantage in a lot of categories, and you just get out-coached and beat on all three levels of the football: offense, defense, special teams. Wow, it's hard to just go back to the drawing board and say, oh, we're going to be better. They're going to go undefeated the rest of the way and still get in the college football playoff. I want to be optimistic and positive. It's hard to. I don't see
it. It is. I mean, it's like, I'm not a big fan of the term must win. I think it's overused in sports. And here's why today wasn't a must win. Texas can win out and they could still win the SEC and make it to the college football playoff. So to me, now every game going forward may be a must win because you get to 3 losses, then you're out of the playoff. But the point is, everyone's going to be like, shut the hell up, BK. Your point stands. Like, if you can't beat Florida, who I think is going to be a 5-7, maybe a 6-6 football team this year that's going to fire their coach, if you can't beat them, you start to look at the other games on Texas's schedule and you wonder where the win's going to come from, right? I think most people are like you. They think OU's going to beat Texas next week, so that's another loss. At Kentucky, at Mississippi State.
At Mississippi State, they'll lose that game.
This team's looked really bad in 2 road games this year. Now, Kentucky's really, really bad. I'd like to think you're not going to lose that, but who knows? Who knows? And you're right. Mississippi State's better than they were last year. Vanderbilt's a very good team. I know they lost to Bama today, but like they look legit this season. At Georgia, can we simulate that? Do we have to even watch? Like, let's go ahead and skip that game. We'll give them the free win. We'll move on to Arkansas and then A&M at the end of the year. Like, that's 2, 3, 4 more losses. Zay, like, where do we stop?
We're talking 6-6.
Where do we stop the count? Yeah, it's 3-2 right now. Like, where?
Yeah, you lose to A&M, you lose to Georgia, beat Arkansas, you lose to Vanderbilt, you lose to Mississippi State.
Don't say it. Don't say it. They're not going to lose to Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, right? Right?
Yo, that offensive line there is soft as Charmin. Why are they so soft? I need a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct next week. That's fucked up. I know. But I need that. I need to just show some toughness, show that you give a shit. You know what I'm saying? I need one of those like where it's a clean hit. Arch is going out of bounds. It's a clean hit. No laundry at all. But you think that it's dirty. And somebody goes over there and pushes the hell out of an OU player. Like, I need something from this offensive line. They're so sweet, man. They're they're nice boys. We don't need that. They're choir boys. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're really friendly guys. And you can't be friendly in this game, especially at those positions.
Yeah. There's
Some
no
wide
nasty.
receivers could be friendly, but you can't be friendly as an offensive lineman. We got friendly brothers on this offensive line. We do, man. We do. Like, so somebody needs to smack the shit out of somebody. I don't know who it is. Like, I wish they could go ones-on-ones this week where Ant Hill or somebody, Ethan Burke, slaps the hell out of Connor Stroh in practice to where a fight breaks out, just to bring some toughness to the table. Because I just don't see that, man.
No, I mean, that's what Texas OU is all about, right? It's usually the tougher team wins. And through 5 games this year, Oklahoma has looked a hell of a lot tougher than Texas has. So I don't know what you got to do. I know you don't often practice tackling during the season because you're worried about guys getting hurt, but Texas is tackling today. If that's what comes with you up I-35 next week, you're going to lose. Texas is blocking. If what you saw today comes with you, that choir boy stuff that you're talking about, if that makes the trip with you up I-35, guess what? You're going to lose. So this week, it may be some hard practices for those guys. And I know, again, coaches are worried about their players getting hurt, so they don't want to practice that hard during the season. Right now, I'm more worried about the season falling off the rails than I'm worried about a guy getting hurt. Obviously, you don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want it to come across like that. But next week is to save your season. I mean, it really is. You lose next week, you fall to 3-3, then it's cancel Christmas. Funny enough, Zay, I got invited to a wedding on New Year's, and I really don't want to go to this wedding. I was like, I really want to be covering Texas in some sort of playoff game somewhere. I really don't want to go to this wedding. You lose next week, I got to RSVP yes to this freaking wedding on New Year's. I don't want to be doing that. That ain't right, Zay. That ain't cancel Christmas.
New Year's, probably
cancel
black
New
tie.
Year's.
It's probably black tie too. You know what I'm saying?
You know where it is? You know where this wedding is? It's my girlfriend's cousin. You know where this wedding is, which is going to make it worse?
Where?
Columbus, Ohio.
Oh.
So they're going to be talking smack from the 2 times they beat us, and they're going to be in the playoff, and we're not. And I got to be up there just pretending to have a good time. And I better have an open bar at this thing. I'll tell you what.
That'll be a positive. Open bar. Your lady will be there. She'll help you out. Yeah, it'll still be a good time, but I'm right there with you, buddy. Like, I want to be covering Texas New Year's too, not just basketball and freaking women's basketball, but that might be where we're headed. All right, let's get to the offensive player of the game, brought to you by Clean Calls. Our friends at Clean Calls, they've been on a mission to energize lives with a purpose, crafting refreshing, better-for-you sparkling herba mate and beverages that deliver a clean caffeine boost without the crash. The crash is the worst, man. You think that you're getting through the day, you feel good, and all of a sudden 4 o'clock hits and you're ready to hit the snooze. Don't be like that. Clean Calls, they won't put you like that. Beyond energy, their brand is built on impact. 50% of the profits go fund addiction recovery, housing scholarships, giving every sip a greater purpose. And they've donated over $3.8 million as a community, and they're just getting started. And they got some new flavors too. Strawberry lemonade, zero calories and zero sugar, absolutely on point. The packaging is new and different, so everything pops with that. And you can find Clean Calls anywhere around town, your local grocery stores, convenience stores, or you can go online at cleancalls.com. The Clean Calls, offensive player of the game. BK, who you got?
Boy, this is the hardest question I've ever been asked in my entire life. I said it earlier. I thought Arch Manning was the best player on the Texas offense. I don't think he was great. I think he made a lot of great plays, but you're not just judged based on a handful of great plays when you play that position. I'll go with Emmett Mosley, the 5th, 2 catches for 40 yards. He was open. Arch missed him. You know, it's another one of those plays where it's like if the offensive line just gave Arch another split second, maybe he's able to hit Emmett Mosley on that deep post in the first half. I still thought that's a ball that Arch Manning should have completed, though. But I liked what I saw from Emmett Mosley. I didn't love the efforts on Arch's first interception. I thought maybe Mosley, I got to go back and watch it, but like he didn't put his hands up. I wonder, the ball was definitely overthrown. It would have had to be like a really nice, probably jumping catch for Mosley to get there. But I wonder if he thought like maybe there was somebody behind him who was supposed to catch it because he didn't make much of an effort there. So I didn't love that play from him, but good to see him out there in a Longhorn uniform. You could tell he's got some juice. Again, the box score doesn't look that great, but made a couple of plays. He was open on some other ones. I like that he's back. And I guess by process of elimination, eliminating everybody who sucked, Emmett Mosley is my offensive player of the game. What about you?
Yeah, I like that pick. Again, the slim pickings here. I'm going to go with the default guy, Arch Manning. Like, the dude, he showed me some stuff today. You know, toughness was probably the biggest thing that I took from this game because Florida was in that backfield, seemed like every single play. He had to step up, make some throws. He wasn't accurate on all of them, still had some mistakes, as you mentioned, just hold the ball a little bit too long. But I also thought he felt obligated to have to do that due to what the offensive line was giving him, which it wasn't much time to make things happen. So, again, you feel like you have to be Superman in those moments. But overall, the stats, they all right. 16, 29, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You know, a lot of both of those interceptions just forced. You know, you don't want to have any turnovers. But again, like the run game, non-existent. Yep. So you feel like you just have to do more. Instead of letting the game come to you, you have to force yourself into the game with how Ron Roberts' defense was playing. And yeah, Arch did what he could, but again, this offensive line, the penalties, self-inflicting wounds, it's tough. it's tough overall performance by this offense. We've been saying it all show, and
yeah, I didn't really get Zay, and sorry to cut you off. I don't know how much it mattered, but like Texas had 5 possessions in the fourth quarter. That's a ton for a single quarter because Florida, like Texas's defense finally started playing well and they kept getting the ball back, forced a couple of punts. Michael Taft had the interception. They finally did some things to give the offense a chance. And I don't know if it was Sark or Arch or a combination of both, but it felt like they were throwing the ball 40, 50 yards down the field on every play. Like they were acting like they were down by 30 when they were down by 2 scores early to midway through the fourth quarter. I get it. You got to go up tempo. You can't be running the ball in that spot. But it's like, again, I don't know if every route was called deep. That was just Sark saying, just chug it up. We need a big play. Or if it was Arch trying to do a little bit too much. But like they, finally on that second to last drive where they did score to make it a 1 possession game, that was where it felt like Arch was taking some stuff over the middle of the field. And I don't know why on the 2 previous drives, everything just felt like a deep shot. They were acting like they were down way more than they were. And again, I don't know how much that would have mattered. Texas probably would have lost anyways, but I did think that was kind of weird. Again, I don't know who to blame. Maybe it's a shared blame, but that was peculiar to me that they were acting like they were getting smoked when really they still had a chance to actually get back into the football game.
Yeah, and you would think with that, 2-high safety defense, they would have went over the middle a lot more, and they just didn't enough. And I don't know if it was because Arch didn't feel comfortable with the pressure in his face the whole time, but sometimes you just got to make those throws and find those windows, and it just wasn't consistent to keep the chains moving. And also it's hard to do when you're on like 3rd and 14 and getting put back because false starts and holdings. Like that I can't get over the 10 penalties, man. This team is so undisciplined. That's all coaching. Like, Sark, you get paid way too much money for this team to have 10 penalties in a game like this. And the whole narrative before was, oh, well, that just happens at home. We're a real good disciplined team on the road. Not today. Not today at all. But all right, let's get to the defensive player of the game, brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars. If you are in the market for a new or pre-owned golf cart, we got some great news for you. Our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars are right around the corner. Founded back in 1979, they have an unparalleled selection of different golf carts available, new or used. So you want to turn your golf cart ideas into a reality? Kenfield, they are your guys. No job is too big, no job is too small. Whether it's a existing golf cart that you had for a while that you want to bring to Kenfield to get the new gadgets and just, the new, they can do that. Or if you want a brand spanking new golf cart, fresh off the lot, Kenfield Golf Cars will take care with you with that also. Check out their website, kenfieldgolfcars.com, for more information. You can also give them a call at 512-258-8515 and tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. BK, defensive player of the game, brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars.
Yeah, I think Joe asked a great question here. Can we award offensive and defensive player of the game to Florida players? I feel like they deserve our awards today since they took our lunch and our lunch money for tomorrow's lunch today. This isn't easy. I mean, that none of them played well, really. I guess Colin Simmons, because he had that 3-play stretch that was really good. I mean, again, Texas had no sacks. They had 3 TFLs. Colin Simmons had one of them. He also had a PBU as well. So I guess he had the best stat line of the day, but he also missed a couple of tackles, and he was a part of the D-line that just wasn't getting enough. But I don't know. I really don't know, Zay. That's not what Kenfield Golf Cars want, I don't think. I think they want us to actually give a player for this segment. But I'm going Colin Simmons, but I don't even like my own pick. Who you got?
I guess Ty Anthony Smith for the play that he made on Hansen. That was a big-time play. If Florida would have scored there, it would have been 17-0, and it would have gotten a lot uglier than it did. Texas, I don't know. What did they do after that possession? Did they score?
Yeah, they did.
They did score. Yeah. So that was a big time possession. Anthony Smith, man, just going a little Derek Johnson on the Peanut Tillman punch. Big time play. He's had some flashes. We know that linebacker room. That's one of the strengths of this Texas team, even though nobody really played well today. But that was a big time play that helped keep Texas in the game. And, Anthony Smith, hopefully he can make more of those down the line.
Yeah. It just was bad. I mean, again, this is a Florida offense that scored 16 against South Florida at home. If you want to say like, oh, LSU's really good and Miami's really good, I probably disagree with you, but okay, they're ranked in the top 15. They have one loss combined, but South Florida in the swamp, by the way. In the swamp, Florida only scored 16 points against them. Zay, if you would have told me before today's game that Texas was going to score 21, I would have said, great. How much did we win by?
Yeah.
How much did we win? There was no scenario, unless Florida, I guess, had a defensive touchdown. There was no scenario where I thought they could get over 20, and they got to 29 in 3 quarters. They didn't even score in the 4th quarter. So how can you have a defensive player of the game when you were going up against one of the worst offenses in the country, and your defense is supposed to be one of the best in the country, and that's the showing that you gave? That's embarrassing.
Everything that Florida that we've all talked about this week, every single show right down the line, everything that Florida did bad coming into this game, they did well against Texas.
Yeah.
Everything. DJ Lagway, he was good. They couldn't get pressures on anybody with their defense. They were sacking Arch Manning left and right all day long. 3rd downs. They went 0 for 13 against Miami the last game they played. They went 50% in this game, 7 for 14. Just extending drives. They controlled time of possession. Like, every single thing that you thought Texas would be able to take advantage of because Florida does poorly, Florida thrived in against the Horns.
Yeah.
That's troubling, man. That's just
makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Like, it's just a very odd game. It's a very odd team, and 2025 might be a very interesting season, Texas fans. So, hopefully y'all got y'all's, Jack Daniels, something, some maybe, sticky icky. I don't know, something that can help Texas fans today. Hate watching A&M against Mississippi State. I don't know how that's going right now, but Lord have mercy. All right, let's get to the offensive play of the game, brought to you by Paul's Motor Works. Paul's Motor Works, they've been providing complete foreign and domestic automotive repair in the ATX since 2000. They specialize in Mini Coupe, BMW, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and plenty more. And not just those cars. They'll work on any type of vehicle that you have. It doesn't matter the make or model, from oil changes to major repairs. Don't trust anyone with your vehicle. Trust the guys and the great people at Paul's Motor Works. Your search for a good mechanic is over. Just go see Paul and the team right off of 2222 and 620 and find their information online at pmwaustin.com. Paul's Motor Works, offensive play of the game. BK, what you got here?
I feel like you and I will probably be in agreement. The Arch Manning 38-yard touchdown bomb to Ryan Wingo over the middle. I mean, that was, I think, the best play for Texas. Obviously, it resulted in one of their 3 touchdowns. It was Arch's best throw of the game. He took a shot as well. And, just a perfectly thrown ball to Ryan Wingo. It's 2 games in a row we've seen those guys hit on a deep post. So if you're looking for silver linings, I don't know if that's going to do anything for any Texas fan. It probably shouldn't do anything for any Texas fan, but at least those 2 guys have had some success on those deep shots. So I will go with that 38-yard touchdown pass in the 3rd quarter from Arch to Wingo.
Yeah, I'll double down on that too. That was a hell of a pass, the way that he stepped up into the pocket, knowing that he was going to take a shot and still deliver that ball on the money. That was a pass that we didn't see completed a few weeks ago, that he had real struggles on. Just his timing. It's gotten a lot better since, UTEP to now. Even though he wasn't perfect, you can see the promise, and you got to ride on that. You got to hope that he could keep on getting better to where one of those games that we think could be a loss later on in the schedule, maybe Arch Manning, with his continued development, gets better to where he could save you in those games, because he got pretty close today. Like, they were hovering around, but again, just too many self-inflicted wounds. Florida capitalizing on timely plays. That was the end result. But yeah, Arch, he's going to have to keep making those plays, because this offensive line, they're going to keep struggling, in my opinion. So he's going to have to keep maneuvering around in the pocket, keeping his eyes up down the field, and delivering out an accurate ball. That time he did that. And Ryan Wingo, yeah, they're finally getting into a little bit of a groove, and you got to think that's pretty exciting for the future.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Wingo had a couple of catches. He also had a pretty big drop. I mean, it wasn't like,
yeah, that was a tough catch, though. He had to jump for it. That was a dot, though. Like, Arch put it in a place where only he could catch it. He had to jump for it. I don't know if, maybe he felt footsteps coming after him. But, yeah, with the timing of that play, Ryan Wingo has to come down with that ball. But.
Yeah, you're number one wide receiver. I think that's a play you've got to come down with. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he wasn't the biggest problem for Texas today. That's for sure.
Let's get to the defensive play of the game, brought to you by Moonshine, Patio Bar and Grill, one of my favorite restaurants in the ATX. Moonshine, Patio Bar and Grill is a place that takes you back to a simpler time. Comfortable, familiar, relaxed, and easygoing. Moonshine greets guests like family, serving up a great cooking just experience. Innovative take on classic American comfort food. Moonshine menu satisfies even the biggest of the city taste. Fantastic dinner, a phenomenal weekend brunch. 20 years and counting. Moonshine, they've been doing it here in the ATX, and they got two amazing locations that y'all should check out. One downtown, the other off of Avery Ranch. Complimentary valet parking for lunch and everything as well. And I know downtown can be tough sometimes, but hey, they'll help you out with that. And the parking lot wide open at Avery Ranch, so there's no excuses there. Go to their website at moonshinegrill.com for more information or make a reservation. Moonshine, Patio Bar and Grill, defensive play of the game. BK, what you got there?
When the game ended, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess the play you talked about earlier, right? To Anthony Smith forcing the fumble, Anthony Hill recovering it, returning it for 21, 22 yards, whatever it was. 2 takeaways for Texas today. It's about all they did right on the defensive side of the football. The Michael Taff one kind of felt too little too late. So I'll go with the first one that happened while the game was still in the balance. I'll go with, that one. What say you?
Yeah, that one seems right. That's really the only play that stands out. I guess you can maybe say the third down stop to give Texas at least one last chance at scoring the ball. But, you knew Florida was going to run the ball there. Like, just this defense didn't have many plays overall to just make you feel good about them. Like, this was the one bright spot for this Longhorn team coming into this game, and they completely shit the bed. And
457 yards Florida had today.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Pete Kwiatkowski, what? Like, how? Like, how is this happening? Like, and that pistol formation play action was killing them early on. And then that widespread zone run, the edges were just getting caught up in that. And like, it's just bad fundamentals overall. Like, just not really holding on to your assignments. Like you said, BK, all the missed tackles from guys that, like Michael Taff, he don't miss many tackles, man. He missed a huge one on Jaden Ball's first touchdown. Like, Mookie Taff, that's your tackle right there. Like, most of the time, we feel good about that 10 out of 10, but today, that just wasn't the case, and that was kind of the vibe from everyone. So,
yeah, Florida had 141 yards of total offense in their most recent game before today. And again, they had 457 today against what was thought to be, not just by Texas fans, by everybody, a top 3 defense in college football. They're not that right now.
Yeah.
They are not that right now. They got to
They
go
had
earn that again.
They had 148 yards at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah. So I didn't even see that. So more than they had in the entire 4-quarter game against Miami, they had in the first quarter today.
Golly, man. Well,
What?
let's get to the final word, man. Brought to you by Sue Patrick for the best selection of Texas Longhorn gear. you can find our friends at Sue Patrick, located on 5222 Burnett Road. Go online at SuePatrick.com. They got everything you want when you want to rep your Longhorns all season long, from polos to Arch Manning jerseys, golf balls, hats, grill and accessories, and more. They got all the gear that you want, burnt orange, that your burnt orange heart desires. They got everything, man. Plus tons of parking, free shipping for online orders over $59 at SuePatrick.com. Go see our friends at Sue Patrick. For the folks listening on the app, my man BK got the bag over his head, man. It ain't that bad, dog. It can't be.
Oh, not only is it bag, it ain't that bad. It's Walmart bag over the head, Zay. That's how you know it's bad.
Yeah. Some down bad times, man.
How long do I have to keep that on my head to not feel anymore? I'm about to Google that after the show is over. Final word.
Yep.
You know, this year is starting to feel a little bit like 2019. I remember 2018, and this is not an apples to apples comp at all, but 2018 was the year that Texas played for the Big 12 championship game, and they beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and you had the Sam Ehlinger "we're back" thing. And it kind of felt like that Tom Herman sort of took his foot off the gas a little bit. Like, I think he and everybody in that Texas locker room actually believed what Sam Ehlinger said, even though Ehlinger was the only guy who said it on the stage in New Orleans. They kind of went into that season just thinking they were going to be good, and everyone was picking Texas to be really, really good. And then they ended up going 7-5, 8-5 if you include their Alamo Bowl win over Utah. Last year, Texas, year one in the SEC, they go 7-1, best regular season record in the conference. They go to overtime in the SEC championship game. If they have a better kicker, they win the SEC championship game, and they get to brag about being the only team in college football to make it to back-to-back college football playoff semifinals. I wonder if there was just some, and Sark said all the right things, but I wonder if there was just sort of, we made it. Like, we're good. We could do this in year one in the SEC. This conference ain't that hard. We don't need to go get more players from the portal. We don't need to address the offense. We're going to be just fine. And it's more Sark and Kyle Flood and the offensive staff. It's like, we don't need an offensive lineman. We don't need a running back. We only need one receiver. We're good on that. We don't need to do what all of these other teams around the conference and around the country are doing to make their rosters better. No, we feel good enough about who we have. And then we're going to be the preseason #1 team because we're Texas. And then it's all starting to crumble right now. So that's sort of what it is feeling like to me right now, is that the coach, who's all gas, no brakes, maybe took his foot off the gas a little bit this offseason, and that hunger that got Texas to where they've gotten the last 2 years just isn't quite there right now. So they got time to turn it around. They got time to prove all of us wrong. I'm feeling like this is an 8-4 team. I know there are people out there who are asking about a bowl game right now for Texas. So I feel like I'm one of the more optimistic, saying they're only going to lose 2 more this season. They got time to obviously change the story of the 2025 Texas football season, but right now it's an ugly story. This is not the start. This is worst case scenario, 3-2 going into Oklahoma, and there aren't a lot of reasons for optimism right now, though, Zay. So they've got, again, 7 days to figure it out, because if they lose next week, then this thing really starts to hit the fan.
Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, 5 games in, this is a very undisciplined, in the trenches, soft, defense that's also a little vulnerable, offense that just can't really find an identity besides Arch Manning trying to do everything in his way to move the chains. And they got some serious problems. This is a look yourself in the mirror moment for Steve Sarkisian and the rest of his roster, the rest of his coaching staff, because I think they fell into the hype. Everybody, all the pats on the back that you're getting in the preseason, everybody saying your quarterback's going to win the Heisman, you're the number one ranked team, you're coming off of back-to-back college football playoff appearances. So, you feel like that's just the norm and you're going to get back there. And that's not the case. Like, teams change every single year and you can't get complacent. Like, you cannot get stale in any way, like you said, whether that's the transfer portal, recruiting, how you go about your coaching philosophy, your weight training, the conditioning in the off season. Like, nothing can get stale. That's why Nick Saban, he was so famously known for it's 4th and goal all the time. And all of those assistant coaches were always on edge because Nick Saban was never satisfied. That's why he's the greatest coach of all time. Okay, we won a championship. What's next? I'm ready to get another one. How are we going to get that? I'm chewing my team out after they won the championship and we're popping champagne. That's the type of shit that I'm on. And Texas, they don't got that right now. There's no real leaders on this team. It's hard for Travian Wiseman to be a leader when he's barely on the field and just the offensive line is what it is. There's definitely no leaders on that offensive line. DeAndre Moore was all right today. You're still missing CJ Baxter. He didn't even make the trip up to Gainesville, so that hurts too. But this team needs a serious reality check. I do not feel good about the Red River Shootout next week. The only thing I'm looking forward to is a Fletcher freaking corn dog. That's about it. Maybe a Kool-Aid pickle because I'm black as shit and that only seems right. But other than that, I am not looking forward to this game. Texas fans, maybe I'll change my mind, but you got 8-4, I got 7-5, dog. And for a team as talented as this will be, they go 7-5, they go 8-4. This will be one of the most disappointing seasons in Texas football history. And that's sad to say with all the hype and optimism that this team had to start the year.
Kool-Aid pickle, that's a thing?
Yo, that's a thing, man. Go State Fair. That's one of my State Fair. Like, I'm not even a pickle guy. That's a State Fair classic right there. That shit hits.
Wow.
Yeah, check that out. I'll be giving out all my State Fair favorites this week. Y'all, tune in. Chip and Zay, 2:00 every weekday. Yeah. Stay locked into that because, I'm going crazy this year. This is like one of those 500 type of years we're spending on State Fair, man. But I might have to eat my sorrows, especially afterwards. Who knows how that's going to be around 6:30 on Saturday. But yeah. Appreciate you, BK. He is Brad Kellner. I am Zay Collier, Tech Sports Unfiltered Postgame Show, brought to you by Covert Bee Cave and Audiovisual Consultations. The Horns, 0-1 in SEC play, 3-2 overall record, go down in Gainesville, 29-21 to the now 2-5 Florida Gators. Lord have mercy. 2-3 Florida Gators.
Yeah.
Man, that's just
this should have been our whole post game show, Zay. Our dicks just aren't big enough here in Texas. That's why we lost.
That's it, man. BK, I appreciate you. Listen to us every weekday. Texas Sports Unfiltered. Terrific lineup. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Y'all be cool.